Alright guys, the time is now for a showdown between the Skaven, who are going to be led by a Warlord atop his mighty Bonebreaker, and the Dinosaurs, who are going to be led by a banana-flavored SLAAAN. So without further ado, let's jump right into this match and have some fun. So as far as the build goes, we do have a front line of the Stormvermin with the swords and shields. We only have two groups. Now normally I'd like to go with like maybe 4 or 5. I think they are by far the best choice against the Dinosaurs. They're able to beat down skinks mercilessly with their numbers and their armor, and they actually perform very well against Saurus. So I think that if you're going to be going with a very safe Skaven play, I think having an entire front line of the Stormvermin is probably the way to go. Or maybe like 3 or 4 groups of them with a couple clan rats supporting, but they are a very, very solid choice. Now we're going to be trying something a little bit different. We're going to be, again, using the Death Frenzy and trying to get, some heavy damage value out of these Plague Monks. Now, Plague Monks have a very bloody trade with Saurus. They'll be able to mulch down skinks pretty quick, but against Saurus, it's very, back and forth. They have decent weapon strength. They do have a bonus for his infantry. For the cost, they definitely have some good damage output, but they're also very squishy. So if your opponent is using a ton of skink cohorts and is able to javelin you down before you get there, get rid of your frenzy, it can be a little bit scary for sure. On top of that, we do have some Plague Monk Sensor Bearers, so I think these guys are an okay pick in the Dino matchup. They actually have really good armor piercing, and they can actually take down dinosaurs relatively quickly, and they also have some green gunk here on the ground, which is always fun, but just going to be trying them out. I don't normally use them too much against dinos, but I feel like they can be okay. Saurus will put a hurting on them, but again, they'll give it right back, so I'm hoping they'll pay their dues. We have a Warlord on a Bonebreaker, so just on a bit of a crusade trying to use lords that aren't Skrulk. Again, I do think Skrulk is probably the best in this matchup. I mean, the Liber Bubonicus and Rod of Corruption is just so powerful, but I think the Warlord actually can be okay. If they're using like Bastillodons and Solar Engines and Rev Crystals and things like that, you can definitely lay a bit of a spanking, and hopefully he'll be helpful against these Kroxigors and some of these other threats here on the battlefield. 2 groups of Slingers in the back. Night Runner Slingers are going to be going after, they were planned to go after Pterodon Riders or any Flying Harass or things like that. Like Skink Chiefs, for example, can sit and just like shoot at you all day, so I wanted to have some answers. We also have one group of the Poisonwing Globadier, some Skaven Slaves in the back, Clan Rats on the flanks, and we got a Hell Pit Abomination. So Hell Pits are always pretty good. I mean, even if the dinos go super wide, they're usually going to have a Lord like Kroq-Gar or a SLAAAN who's a large target, so he can be pretty solid. I really do like the Hell Pit Abomination quite a bit. We got a Runecaster with the Howling Warp Gale, Lightning, as well as Death Frenzy. That's pretty much it. So for my opponent's force, it's a massive skink force, a very Sotek-themed army here. It looks like there is a backline of Saurus actually with, looks like they're all just standard Saurus. Yeah, so no spears or anything like that. Temple Guard are going to be guarding the... Guard, I don't even know. My brain is just totally fried right now. They're going to be guarding the SLAAAN Mage Priest with Light, and it looks like he's going to be going for their own version of Death Frenzy, which is Barona's Time Warp. So this does give a melee attack. It's not quite as aggressive as a Death Frenzy, but it's still very powerful in its own right. Blood Statuette, he does have the Aura of Pretzel, which is quite good. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. So he's got a bunch of Saurus in the back line, 2 Kroxigors, a Saurus Scarvet, which is a very good answer against a Bonebreaker, as well as a Hell Pit, and a bunch of skinks. So yeah, it's a pretty solid, just aggressive blitz army here. So without further ado, guys, let's get the show on the road. So right now, I do kind of position my army a little bit away from his far side, so I noticed he was going to be able to get a full wrap on me, so I position, trying to make it so everything on this side of the formation is going to have to run a little bit quicker. Javelins are going to be coming in against the Stormvermin, but they're pretty durable against such attacks here. Skaven Slaves are going to be fighting skinks, and the skinks will actually beat them down pretty badly, and my Slingers are going to be throwing pebbles, so exchanging some love between the 2 factions here. So Stormvermin are going to be piling into Saurus as well as skink cohorts. Plague Monks are going to be fighting the Javelins here, but unfortunately they take a massive volley to the face. You can see these like... There's just spears everywhere all over these rats, which is so funny, but they're going to be charging in to fight those guys. So the front line engagement's pretty much underway. Temple Guard here are going to be meeting my Plague Monks, and the Bonebreaker here is going to be going to help with the Kroxigors. I do need a little bit of armor piercing over here. So he's going to be piling in with his Pimp Claw here. Whatever, like drills. I think those are like Warp Claw drills or something cool like that. Anyways, fight's underway. Death Frenzy is going to be going down to the front line, if I'm not mistaken, as well as my opponent. He's going to be using the Aura of Pretzel to give himself armor and durability. So very effectively, he's countering my offensive output by using the Aura and some of the defensive capabilities of the SLAAAN here. So these Plague Monks are really getting whooped on. I will be moving my Hell Pit Abomination over here to go after Kroxigors as well as the SLAAAN Mage Priest. Actually has taken a bit of damage here from the Slingers and other troops, which is good. Now, huge banishment over here. I thought I was actually pretty secure in this formation with my Stormvermin and the Bonebreaker, but a massive banishment actually tore through the ranks pretty badly and just buckled my formation. So the Stormvermin got sent running. They're definitely not happy about that situation at all. But now I do have Globadiers firing in, so the Globadiers are going after the Kroxigors, doing some okay damage. Barona's Time Warp, of course, really helping them get around and giving them some good stats. Over here, the Stormvermin are paying their dues. They're able to fend off the Saurus as well as these skinks, and honestly, they might even be able to win this 2 versus 1 engagement here. Same thing on the far side, Clan Rats and Chaff just holding off skinks. So my middle pocket has collapsed pretty heavily. Like right here was pretty much a disaster after that banishment. I do have my Warlock Engineer kind of holding, and some of my Globadiers are able to throw in, and I'm slowly kind of grinding down the Kroxigors. They have 11 models, but that Globadier fire is probably going to rampage them pretty quickly. But skinks are just kind of overwhelming my flanks. Skink Skirmishers coming up and around the back. Probably going to be fighting my Night Runners, but the Night Runners will actually win that in melee, which is good. But the main pocket has collapsed. The Saurus Spears are piling through some of the skink cohorts with some Overwatch Javelin fire. Helped Abomination took a ton of damage, and I did send in the Plague Monk Sensor Bears as a kind of a reserve unit, not wanting them to take the initial damage, but they're really not going to stand up too long. And you can see the rats in the back are just like flying. So I think Stormvermin probably would have been a better choice here because, man, they're just getting whooped on by all of these guys with the support of the SLAAAN and his high magic. But Rival Hide Talisman is allowing them to fight a little bit longer. But as far as kills, they only have 10 kills, and they're really just going to break off and be useless here in a moment. But in the back, you can see the Saurus Scarvet has come back here, and it's done some pretty good damage against my Lord, but I do retaliate with the Helped Abomination coming in, jumping on the Saurus Scarvet. I use Trophy Heads on him to kind of butter him up. But the Bounce Power is definitely in my opponent's favor, so I need to make some plays happen here to get back in the game. Saurus Scarvet and getting him down and low will definitely be a good start. Also, the Globadiers here providing some nice fire there on the Croxagors, who do get the Cold Blood to break them out of Rampage, but we're able to just melt them so incredibly hard with the Globadiers. Unfortunately, though, he does get some skinks back here. I have some reserves I can pull in to kind of protect them, and I do lay a bit of a whooping here on the Saurus Scarvet, so he's going to have to fall back. So far, still kind of in the same state. I think I did alter it back towards the middle a little bit in regards to the Bounce of Power. The Warlock Engineer, a true hero of his people, is able to hold back the Croxagor Spankin' Party, but yeah, the Globadiers are going to have to fall back here in a moment, and the Bonebreaker will also be rushing over to help. So if we take a look at the frontline fight, there's still some fighting going on. The Plague Monks actually ended up doing okay, 73 kills, and the Stormvermin, or Sensor Bears, only got 27, so really, I don't know if they were worth the cost. Granted, they were fighting up against pretty hard targets, right? Like Temple Guard and Croxagor, things that are pretty, durable and sturdy. But the Assassin was able to do a huge number on the SLAAAN Mage Priest. We almost got him down to like 40%, which was pretty good. But alas, his supporting elements are all but gone, right? So now this Assassin is just going to be spanked by everyone here. Over here, the Stormvermin are really just the MVPs, right? 105 kills. They've been able to whittle down these Saurus, these guys, while also being attacked by a Saurus Guard veteran. So those guys really paying their dues and proving how efficient they are in this matchup. So right now, I'm essentially having to do a bit of a tactical retreat, just regrouping my forces. Here I'm able to, unfortunately, yeah, my Globadiers do get taken out, but I'm able to rampage the Croxagors. The Bonebreaker, of course, does have some really good armor piercing, so he's able to do some work against the Croxagor folk. My Slingers are still in line for the most part. These ones are still fighting. I think my other group is around here somewhere. They're actually able to fend off the skink cohorts. Night Runners in general are pretty strong in melee. A lot of those like Skaven Assassin type units really aren't bad. But the Bounce Power is pretty catastrophic right now. Game definitely going in my opponent's favor as the Stormvermin in the front line are just getting worn down through the pressure of the Saurus Guard veteran and just massive amounts of numbers. But really 123 kills. Those guys did really, really well for themselves. Helped Abomination is going to be falling back as well. It's going to be fighting these Croxagors, laying a bit of a karate spanking on him. 2 for 1ing those guys, actually bringing 2 down. So the Help Hit really, really just doing solid work this game. Night Runners in the back are slinging down those Croxagors, and that Focus Fire is actually able to break, and then they're then terrified by the Helped Abomination. So things are going okay in some respects. We do have the Globadiers who are back online, so we're going to be kind of throwing at the Croxagors here, and the Dinos are, relatively tattered in their center pocket, aside from these 2 groups of Saurus who, that's one of the main reasons why the bounce is so heavy, right? Because these 2 Saurus are just so meaty. So Helped Abomination is going to be running over here to attack these Croxagors and try and free up the Bonebreaker. In the back, I have some rallying troops. I have Skaven Slaves. I have a couple more Skaven Slaves. Globadiers are falling back to get some more, some better angles. But from here on out, it's probably going to be all she wrote as my Bonebreaker is routing off. The Helped Abomination is kind of the last bastion of the Skaven forces. Another nice banishment coming back there. So that's going to be all she wrote. So well played to my opponent, Falcon here. He was able to take out the Bonebreaker and the Helped Abomination. And yeah, I definitely need to kind of work on my Skaven versus Dino play. But again, I was kind of experimenting with some different things. The Plague Monks, I don't know. They did okay, 73 and 35, but I felt like my front line needed a little bit more meat to handle that aggressive onslaught. And I really liked Falcon using the High Mage as kind of a lawnmower lord, right? Use the Barona's Time Warp to get the melee attack. It really makes those Saurus so meaty, because one of the downsides of Saurus in general is their low melee attack. So if you're casting like perpetual Barona's Time Warps, he was able to really melt through my front line. So yeah, we experimented with a couple things. The Death Frenzy wasn't bad at all. I mean, it was helpful in the front line to an extent, but I don't think this is a matchup in which you want to do it. I don't think you're going to be able to burn through the Dino super quick. Honestly, I think Lore of Plagues would be way better here. Just getting those extra bodies to throw in front of the Saurus is super important. So yeah, let's actually go ahead and take a look at a Skaven build that, in the past I've used like Hell Pit Abominations, Rat Ogres, and kind of that type of build. And, of course, Skrulk I think is really the way to go. So let's go. We're not going to multiplayer. So custom battles here. Let's go ahead and take a look at Skaven and see what we got going on. But yeah, I really like that build for my opponent using the Lore of Light. That was super cool seeing that in action. So I do think Skrulk is the optimal pick here. I really think that he's like a must pick. Blessed with Filth is really good. I would probably honestly either go with the Breath or the Summons and just get as many Summons as possible. You want both of his items. I think that's going to be pretty important there. And I think let's go with Stormvermin. You can honestly even go with like Halberds in the front line, but having the more durable Stormvermin here I think is pretty good. On top of that, I do think a Hell Pit Abomination is in line. Those guys are solid, and you can go with like cannons and things like that, but more often than not, your opponent's going to have like, they're going to be able to swarm you pretty aggressively with skinks and just mass amounts of Saurus, so I don't think that type of play is really, optimal. I think an Assassin's pretty good for, you know, the Rival Hide Talisman is a really, really powerful item in the front line, especially if you're trying to hold with Storm Vermin and things like that. And now you have a couple choices. You can go like super heavy Monster Mash, go like double Hell Pit, and then just get like, yeah, let's just even like get a 5th Storm Vermin. You can get a double Hell Pit if you want, or you can get a bunch of Rat Ogres as well. Rat Ogres actually trade pretty well with the what's it called? The Croxagores. You know, they have good armor piercing. Croxagores are more meant versus infantry, and they can do a pretty solid job as well. Something like this, I mean, you could even cut a Storm Vermin and then get like some other supporting elements. So get some like Clan Rats with spears, maybe mix in a couple Globadiers. But again, you remember you have to protect your back line pretty efficiently. And this is more of like a Death Star style of play. On top of that, be pretty efficient. Probably get a Plague Priest up on his Furnace. You're going to, of course, cut all the spells down to make it a little bit more cost efficient. Got one of these guys. So you could go something like this, which I think maybe if you're going to go with that, maybe cut the Assassin. Just get like some supporting elements in the back line. This could be pretty good, right? So Storm Vermin will hold. Rat Ogres and Hell Pit Abomination should be able to take Croxagores. You're going to win the Swords fight with the Plague Priest and Skrulks kind of AoEs. And I think this would be a much more steady style of play against the Dinos rather than trying to mix and match forces like I did there. So again, very well played to my opponent. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this game plus the breakdown, and we will see you guys next time. Take care.